We're hosting another event with Max Morton and Heartworm Press. Max Morton, guru of the murderous American underbelly, is here tonight to read pieces from his new book, Looking for the Magic. The book is a brilliant follow-up to Indestructible Wolves of the Apocalypse Junkyard and is, quote, a gem-encrusted sarcophagus of epic memoir, adventure, violence, magic, loss, and a journey to the four American corners. Morton's words have yet to fail the hungry global tribe of whom he speaks, and they never will, end quote. Accompanying him is the author of No, Boyd Rice. Boyd's writings have appeared in over half a dozen languages, including a translation of his collected works, which was published in France earlier this year. No, his latest collection, published by Heartworm Press, is a 112-page new classic of blunt realities, social composition, and discourse. I'll let Max talk a little bit more about Boyd after his reading. We have signed copies of both Looking for the Magic and No, and Chris Leo's Feathers Like Leather, which is also a Heartworm Press book, which you can purchase downstairs on your way out of the store. Please join me in welcoming Max Morton and Boyd Rice to the Strand.
A few blocks from where I grew up, there was a porno shop that had previously been a Taco Bell. I read in the paper that the bookstore was going to get raided because of their pleasure holes in the back room. I had heard my dad and mom discussing this issue one night and heard my friend's dad and mom talking about it the next day. I even heard people in my karate class talking about it, and some of them went to church and wore those gold tea necklaces, so I knew it had to be good. I brought it up during breakfast and got a few chuckles and then a smack. It was on. My mother and I were one night away from eating up the street from this intriguing bookstore at a delicious grease pit where all the stoned waitresses roller skated, wore short shorts and tight shirts. I needed a plan to go and lose it at the glory hole. Inspiration struck, and I took the family fish out of their tank so they would dehydrate and die. Once they were dead, I put them back in the tank and yelled for my mother to come quick. This was not a shock to her. Months earlier, I had gotten 2 newts for my turtle tank. The alarm went off and the newts were skeletons. The touched clerk had swore that they would get along swimmingly with the turtle. The next morning, the turtle was belly up. Not only were the newts poisonous, but the clerk was too. He was daring people with more power from his school days to swallow them at a local beer and pool dive. 3 potential rocket scientists were found belly up in their beds. I told my mom I needed to practice up on my independence so I could start functioning like a normal 10-year-old did in the real world. My plan was to ding-dong ditch the fish store and lie and say that I had been mugged. I could then donate my crisp 5 spot to the wonders of adult fantasy, peep shows and their mysterious holes. Finally, I had graduated from chili dogs and nipples. Within seconds of inhaling my greasy appetizer of onion rings, I said I wanted to go and take a look at the fish next door, promising I would return before the scattered, smothered, and covered dogs were delivered. I ran opposite right into the radiating bookstore. Naturally, my mom was looking out the window, keeping an eye on her young man. I gave all my fish money to the oily black man dressed as Howdy Doody. He had frightening painted-on ruby red lips, a little kid cowboy hat, and an elementary school photo day western check shirt on. I demanded directions to the holes, obviously startled, but turned on by my enthusiasm and tender age. Playing it cool, he just pointed to the back. He may not have gone looking for such tender white meat, but who was he to argue if it fell right in his lap? The red-lit excitement in a sailor's kind of town beat the hell out of the roller waitresses at Hot Diggity Dog. I was not sneaking into an R-rated flick, but a real-life peep show. With total confidence, I ramrodded a quarter in the slot of the booth that reeked of bleach and the unknown. It was like doing cannonballs in a gutter. The gate went up, and right before my very eyes was a buck-naked vixen pressing her breasts into the glass. She wasn't even fazed by how young I was. As my rust-colored corduroy pants tightened against my thigh, something touched my other leg. There was a short, stubby, greasy black finger coming out of the hole in the wall. I bent over, and out of curiosity, before I knew it, the gate had come crashing down, ending one of the heaviest moments of my young life. The only girls I ever talked to worked either at the record store, the iron-on store, or Hot Diggity Dog. I was in love with the glory hole. That is, until I actually looked in the hole. That is when I saw Howdy Doody's ruby lips. Before I could put another token in the slot, he snapped. Come on, put it in my mouth. The thing you pee out of, put it in the thing I eat out of. Put it in the hole. You want to lose your virginity, right? I freaked out and ran for the door, only to find my mother starting to enter my new favorite toy store. Always shielded by her protective bubble, she could never imagine anything bad happening to me. I was at the bookstore and she was at the bookstore too. She had no idea about the holes or the lips. I think she just thought I had wandered into something that freaked me out and felt content that I would never return. She asked if I had fun and if I was planning on a return visit. I was quite confused and really shaken up over the whole ordeal. Had it made me a homosexual? Could they smell it on me? It must have been a weird sight for the cars driving by to see a young Claude Zachary leaving the adult bookshop with a chili dog in his mouth and his mom by his side. I assured her that I would not be returning for some time, although it was all I could think about.